and we were talking about the U.S. government and the return of the pilots. Senator Clinton, Senator Schumer's office were indifferent to our pleas for help. We have customers who know Schumer in particular, but Senator Clinton also, very well, well enough to pick up the phone, call them, and get them on the phone. They didn't exert, other than a pro forma letter to the Secretary of State, they didn't make any public effort to speak out on behalf of our pilots until they knew they were coming home. And I got the draft of a press release from Congressman King's office, and it had quotes from Senator Schumer and Senator Clinton and Congressman King, all celebrating the return of our pilots home. What a great day it was. And I called Pete's office and I said, I don't understand. You know, putting on my naive act. I don't understand. They didn't do anything. He said, that's how Washington works. So not only could we not count on strong help from our government representatives in Brazil, our elected officials were silent. And it's been a real education. You know, there are a couple of ways that we could have handled this accident. There are a couple of ways that companies handle major events like this. We could have just reinvented ourselves, come back, bought another certificate. You know, it happened in the Eversole crash out in Colorado. The operator disappeared, and they came back as another operator. We didn't believe that that was the right thing to do. We continue not to believe that that would have been the right thing to do. We're proud of our 25, 24-year heritage. Started as a maintenance company, fly 20 airplanes, 10 of them Gulfstreams. We believe in what we do. We believe in who we are. And we believe that if the pilots left the country, it would have brought shame to everybody that never would have been corrected. I believe that if the pilots left the country and there were a fight over extradition, that the U.S. government wouldn't have stood up to help them because it would have made them look guilty. If we reinvented ourselves, it would have been simple because then the insurance company can just battle over our state, and we can just, you know, change the letter on the building, change the stationery, come back as somebody else. You know, for all of us, I think this was a defining experience. I think it's made us tougher than we ever realized we were. I think it's made us appreciate what we have and what we do. But I think what it's also done is it's made us appreciate that, and this is an oversimplification, it's a tough world out there. It's a tough world to be an American in trouble. What we do has an element of risk, and we can never take for granted the difficulty and the challenges that lie before us. And you know, it's easy to do well and to do what you do in good times. We're very proud of what we continue to do in the face of the adversity that we faced, and just consider ourselves fortunate not only to have survived as individuals, but as a company and with our pride and our reputation intact, and continue to suffer through the other attacks that sometimes make the Brazilian attacks look small when everybody in Washington's attacking. But I think the important message is when you hear about criminalization, it was a non-issue to me. I never gave criminalization a thought until September 29th, September 30th. It wasn't a part of my life. I didn't care. Now I get it. Now I understand it's not only about criminalization. It's about protecting our own interests and realizing, as I said in the beginning, that an attack on any one of us is an attack on all of us. And now more than ever is a time that we have to show strength, because we perform an important service. We do it in an element of risk, and we need to fight the fight to make sure that our futures and our companies and what we do are continue to be safe and viable and respected. Thank you very much. If there are any questions, anybody's any questions, I probably didn't cover even half of...
What's the outcome now with Joe and Jen?
The outcome now is that Joe is back flying for us. He has been for a while. He just started to fly internationally. Not everywhere, but he flies internationally. Jan went back to the airlines. He was recalled. And They continue to be on trial in absentia, along with some air traffic controllers. I would expect that the first couple of trials will find them and the controllers guilty, and we hope that as we move our way up in the Brazilian judicial system, that we'll find better justice, more qualified justice, and that they'll be acquitted. But you know, this will follow them for the rest of their lives.
David, you probably know that I was a pilot on a northeastern Gulf Stream to LIBAA early in October.
I do, and you reached out and offered help.
In LIBAA, we were flying some big cat lovers to the Amazon to observe tigers and leopards and whatever big cat lovers do. But I concur in your assessment of the climate in LIBAA, being there for about a week, right after that incident. In fact, we changed our stop from Manaus to Boa Vista just because we knew the whole aircraft had left from Manaus. And we were afraid of, you know, how we would be handled coming into Brazil.
Yeah, you were there when passions and tempers were really hot.
The PR was terrible. And we were constantly, you know, questioned, and the conversation was always about, you know, the qualifications of U.S. pilots. And we were not looked on favorably.
Well, we are grateful for your having reached out to us at that time and offering whatever assistance you could. There are one or two companies on Long Island that thought this was a marketing opportunity. So you find out who your true friends are. So toilet is probably fairly accurate, right?
Yep.
Okay.
What became of the airplane?
The airplane sits where we landed 2.5 years ago.
Really?
It's still sitting on the military base. There's been jurisdictional issues surrounding it. It was impounded for a little while to protect the estate of one of the victims. I understand they recently did an engine run-up and they performed very well. They haven't fully assessed the damage to the wing or the tail to decide whether they can fly it out. And my understanding is that the base commander is now asking for parking fees. You know what? They made us pay room and board before we left the base. I still have the bill sitting in my office at home. Any other questions? Well, thank you very much for your time and for coming out and listening to our story.